Think your job is annoying? Your complaint about the slow Wi-Fi or that coworker who microwaves fish is child's play compared to this. Today, we're exploring the absolute Hall of Fame of workplace grievances. These are 55 of the most bizarre, unhinged, and hilariously absurd complaints people have actually made at their jobs. We are not talking about bad bosses. We're talking about veterinarians who complain about their allergies to cats and rescuers who worry about their hairstyles. Welcome to workplace insanity at its absolute finest. 1. A newly hired veterinarian filed a stunning complaint: a severe cat allergy. Instead of resigning or taking medication, he declared his condition a management problem. His formal request was for the clinic to block all feline-related appointments during his shifts, arguing this was a reasonable accommodation. He essentially demanded that the clinic refuse service to its cat-owning clientele on his workdays, effectively making the animal hospital a cat-free zone just for him. 2. A city bus driver filed a complaint against a specific pigeon. Yes, a bird. He claimed the same pigeon would wait at a particular bus stop every day and deliberately fly into his windshield as he pulled up, leaving a disrespectful smudge. He was certain it was a personal attack and demanded that animal control have a word with the avian offender, insisting the pigeon knew exactly what it was doing and was undermining his authority on the route. 3. Imagine being a lifeguard. Your job involves water, sun, and saving people. Simple enough, right? Wrong. A newly certified lifeguard at a Florida water park complained to his manager that the job required him to get wet too often. He argued that the constant splashing from the wave pool and the requirement to perform in-water drills were ruining his carefully maintained hairstyle and causing his skin to get pruny, which he found unprofessional. 4. A furniture mover for a high-end delivery service filed a complaint that the items he was required to move were unreasonably heavy. He argued this wasn't an expected part of his job, which he defined as logistics and spatial arrangement, but rather a critical design flaw on the part of furniture manufacturers. His formal request was for the company to implement a new policy refusing service to clients whose solid oak dressers or marble-top tables exceeded his personally drafted comfort lift threshold of 150 pounds. 5. The master grill chef at a legendary Texas steakhouse complained about the overpowering aroma of seared beef. He stated in his detailed report that the constant, savory smell constituted a form of aggressive olfactory fatigue that was completely ruining his own appetite for dinner after his shift. He requested an immediate transfer to the salad station to cleanse his palate and spirit, despite being the highest-paid and most celebrated meat expert in the entire establishment. 6. A night watchman at a massive warehouse filed a grievance that the darkness and silence were persistently terrifying. He claimed the unlit corridors amplified every creak and turned stacks of boxes into menacing shadows, putting his mental well-being at risk. His demand was not a bigger flashlight, but for the company to either hire him a fear suppression partner for the shift, or simply leave every single light in the multi-acre facility on all night long. 7. The sudden and excessively loud nature of the station's alarm bells prompted one firefighter to file a complaint, calling them a form of auditory assault. He claimed the jarring sound created a panic-first, think-later atmosphere that was detrimental to clear-headed decision-making. He formally requested the station switch to a system that alerted them to emergencies with a series of gentle, soothing chimes that would build in a gradual crescendo. 8. A waiter at a busy downtown restaurant filed a complaint about Friday nights. He claimed that too many customers would order all at once, and he simply couldn't remember everything. He said the stress of trying to write down all the orders before he forgot them was giving him a pounding headache every single week. His solution? He demanded that management make a new rule. Only one table in his section could place an order every 10 minutes. 9. A call center agent filed a grievance against the company's mandatory closing script, specifically the line, "Is there anything else I can help you with today?" He claimed this question dangerously invited customers to ask for more help, which extended call times and ruined his carefully managed efficiency metrics. He insisted the line be changed to the more definitive and final statement. I have now concluded our interaction. Goodbye. 10. A movie theater usher filed a grievance against patrons who politely stay in their seats to watch the entire end credit sequence. He claimed these customers were engaging in post-narrative loitering, and that their refusal to leave immediately was a deliberate act of sabotage against his cleaning schedule. He proposed the theater should turn on harsh fluorescent lights and play loud, annoying music the second the credits began. 11. A personal trainer at an upscale gym filed a complaint against his clients for sweating too much. He claimed their excessive perspiration was creating a constant hygiene issue and causing premature degradation of the high-end Italian leather equipment. His proposed solution was a mandatory policy requiring all clients to wear full-body, non-porous sweatsuits during their sessions to hermetically contain all moisture at the source. 12. A librarian complained that her primary archival duties were constantly being interrupted by library patrons asking questions. She argued their incessant need for assistance was derailing her workflow and made it impossible for her to get any personal reading done during her shift. To solve this, she formally proposed an appointment-only system for all inquiries, which had to be submitted in writing 24 hours in advance. 13. A driving instructor filed a complaint against his own students for their complete lack of driving skill. He argued that their poor steering, inconsistent braking, and general nervousness created a high-stress and unnecessarily hazardous work environment for him. His proposed solution was a new mandatory prerequisite for his course. Students must already possess a basic, competent understanding of how to drive before he would agree to teach them advanced techniques. 14. In a bizarre retail complaint, a clothing store employee became fed up with customers unfolding his pristine shirt stacks. He called their actions acts of serial vandalism that caused him significant emotional distress and were a direct assault on his folding artistry. He demanded management enforce a strict look, don't touch policy where shoppers could only point at the shirt they wanted, which he would then retrieve for them using a long pole. 15. A tenured philosophy professor at a prestigious university filed a grievance against his own job. He argued that the requirement to constantly ponder the deepest questions of existence was giving him severe anxiety and existential dread. He requested a temporary sabbatical from thinking, asking the dean to reassign him to a more mentally tranquil role, like grading papers for the geology department. 16. A landscaper at a luxury housing development complained that the job involved too much direct contact with dirt. He described soil as unhygienic and stated that having dirty fingernails was off-brand for such a prestigious community and for himself, as its aesthetic curator. He requested the company either provide him with a full-body protective suit or exclusively assign him to properties that only used pristine, maintenance-free artificial turf. 17. Here's a new one. A telemarketer complained that his job required too much talking, leading to verbal fatigue and chronic hoarseness. He explained in his report that, as an introvert, making hundreds of calls a day completely drained his social battery. He formally asked to be transferred to a newly created non-verbal outreach initiative, which was essentially a telemarketing via email department. 18. A salesman for a high-end kitchen knife company filed a workplace safety complaint, claiming the knives he was supposed to demonstrate were unacceptably and dangerously sharp. He argued that having to slice through vegetables and paper to prove their quality created a constant risk of injury. He demanded the company provide him with a set of permanently dulled demonstration knives for all future sales presentations to ensure his personal safety. 19. A mall security guard submitted a formal complaint that his patrol route required excessive walking, which he called a preventable occupational hazard, causing premature deterioration of company-issued footwear. He attached a week's worth of data from his step counter as evidence. He demanded management either shorten the main corridors or install airport-style moving walkways along his specific route to reduce his physical strain. 20. An employee at a high-end mattress store whose main job was to test new models for comfort filed a complaint that the mattresses were dangerously comfortable. He claimed their excessive plushness and superior support made him accidentally fall asleep on the showroom floor multiple times, which he argued was a serious workplace hazard and was hurting his productivity. His official request was for the company to provide him with an unlimited supply of high-caffeine energy drinks as an essential tool to counteract the relaxing effects of the products he was paid to evaluate. 21. An employee whose official title was Flavor Quality Control Specialist at a major ice cream corporation filed a workplace safety grievance against Brain Freeze. He described the sudden cranial discomfort, which he referred to by its medical name, sphenopalatine ganglioneuralgia, as a recurring and hostile work phenomenon. He demanded the company provide smaller tasting spoons and institute a mandatory 15-minute cranial rewarming period in a designated quiet room between samples. 22. You'd think laughter would be the goal, but a stand-up comedian filed a grievance with a comedy club's management against the audience. He complained that one table in the front row was laughing too loudly and at inappropriate non-punchline moments, which he argued was throwing off his comedic timing and disrupting the show's narrative flow. He requested the club implement a pre-show briefing on proper laughter etiquette for all patrons. 23. Junk mail itself became the target of a philosophical complaint from a veteran mail carrier. He claimed that being forced to deliver it made him an unwilling distributor of landfill material. He demanded the authority to act as a chief information curator, performing a daily pre-delivery review and immediately recycling any flyers he personally deemed non-essential correspondence, ensuring only meaningful documents reached his patrons. 24. Stairs were the enemy for one pizza delivery driver, who filed a complaint against customers in elevator-less buildings. He called them unexpected vertical challenges that caused undue wear on his knees and were not covered in his job description as a driver. He demanded a new company-wide policy requiring any customer living above the second floor to meet him in the lobby, which he argued was the logical and final point of the vehicle-based delivery route. 25. You'd think physical contact would be a given, but one massage therapist submitted a complaint that it was a violation of her personal space. She argued that direct skin-on-skin contact was unnecessarily intimate for a professional service. Her solution was for the spa to provide her with thick, industrial-grade winter gloves to wear during all sessions, ensuring a professional, hygienic, and emotionally comfortable barrier was maintained. 26. Glitter, the bane of parents and teachers everywhere, became the subject of an official grievance from a kindergarten teacher. She described it as a weaponized craft supply that spreads uncontrollably throughout the school and into her personal vehicle, causing her severe emotional distress. She formally demanded a school-wide ban on what she passionately and repeatedly called the herpes of the art world. 27. Being paid to sleep sounds like a dream job, but a participant in a university sleep study filed a complaint against the monitoring equipment. He argued that the various wires and sensors attached to his head and body were uncomfortable and highly distracting, and were, in fact, preventing him from getting a good night's sleep. He demanded they develop a non-invasive, wireless, and completely unnoticeable method for monitoring him, so he could sleep properly for the study. 28. Performing Beethoven's Fifth Symphony for what felt like the 100th time led a violinist to file a grievance for artistic monotony. He claimed he was suffering from severe creative atrophy and that the audience deserved more variety. He demanded a new contract clause allowing him to spontaneously improvise a high-energy jazz solo during at least one classical performance per week to reinvigorate the piece. 29. To address the unpleasant smell of garbage, a sanitation worker submitted a wild proposal to the city council. His solution wasn't better trucks, but a mandatory city ordinance requiring all residents to thoroughly wash, disinfect, and dry all of their trash before collection. The detailed memo stated this would ensure a more dignified and olfactorily pleasant pickup experience for his entire crew. 30. The steady, predictable speed of a conveyor belt became a safety concern for one assembly line worker. He claimed its hypnotic and mentally unstimulating pace could lull him into a dangerous trance, making him less aware of his surroundings. His request was for the company to program the belt to randomly and dramatically speed up and slow down throughout the day, creating an engaging and unpredictable work rhythm that keeps everyone on their toes. 31. This one's a classic. A professional dog walker filed a formal grievance against his canine clients for excessive olfactory investigation. He complained that the dogs were incredibly inefficient, insisting on prolonged sniffing sessions that completely disrupted his tight schedule. He submitted a report, complete with time-motion data, arguing this leisurely pace was harming his per-animal profit margin, and requested a new policy limiting each dog to 3 sniffs per city block. 32. The night clerk at a 24-hour hotel complained that guests were checking in too late at night. He argued that any arrivals after 11 p.m. were highly disruptive to his critical end-of-day accounting and administrative duties. He formally requested that management change the policy, requiring the main entrance to be locked at 11 p.m. sharp for operational efficiency, and that latecomers should be politely asked to wait in their cars until the morning. 33. You'd think an exterminator would be prepared for anything, but one filed a report against a colony of cockroaches for being uncooperative. He claimed their highly effective survival instincts and evasive maneuvers showed a complete and utter disregard for the extermination process. He demanded to be taken off such difficult assignments, asking to be reassigned to clients with less motivated pests, like silverfish or common, slow-moving ants. 34. The first kiss at a wedding became the subject of a bizarre complaint from the event's official photographer. He argued the moment was too spontaneous and aesthetically unpredictable, making it nearly impossible to capture a perfect shot with ideal lighting and composition. He suggested that, for future weddings, couples should be required to perform a brief, choreographed, and motionless photo kiss for the camera before proceeding with the real one. What weddings was he talking about anyway? 35. Dealing with badly damaged cars led a veteran car mechanic to complain that his customers were profoundly irresponsible. He argued that by waiting until their cars were completely broken down, they were turning his skilled trade into an unpredictable automotive rescue mission. He demanded the shop implement a policy to only accept vehicles with minor, easily diagnosable, and non-urgent issues, preferably with a full service history. 36. An accountant at a large financial firm complained that the motivational posters in the office were creating a fiscally reckless environment. He specifically cited a poster of an eagle soaring over a mountain with the word "success," arguing that it promoted unrealistic, high-risk growth expectations and was a blatant disregard for sound budgetary principles. He requested they be replaced with images of spreadsheets and balanced ledgers. 37. An archaeologist working on a major dig complained that the ancient pottery he was unearthing was inconveniently broken. He claimed the high degree of fragmentation created unnecessary and tedious puzzle-solving work for his team, slowing down their discovery rate. His formal request was that future dig sites should be chosen based on the statistical likelihood of finding intact, whole, and immediately museum-ready artifacts. 38. The physical condition of money itself was the basis of a complaint from a bank teller. She argued that having to handle wrinkled, torn, and badly folded bills was disrespectful to the currency and dramatically slowed down her counting speed. Her bizarre request was for management to install a small, dedicated ironing board and a low-heat press at her station so she could press the bills crisp and flat, before putting them in her cash drawer. 39. The serene sound of birds chirping at dawn was the target of a noise complaint from a park ranger. He claimed in his report that their unregulated and repetitive singing was disrupting the natural tranquility of the forest, and more importantly, his morning coffee and reflection routine. He suggested the Park Service invest in humane sonic deterrence to create designated no-chirp quiet zones around his ranger station. 40. A well-known food critic filed a complaint with his newspaper's editor that chefs were putting too many ingredients in their dishes. He argued this unnecessary flavor complexity made it impossible to properly isolate and identify each component for his review, turning his job from culinary critique to complex data entry. He demanded a new policy to only review restaurants that offered simple, single-ingredient dishes, like a perfectly seared scallop and nothing else. 41. The unpredictability of weather became the subject of a complaint from a TV meteorologist. He claimed that the atmosphere's consistent failure to follow his detailed forecasts was highly unprofessional and was undermining his on-air credibility. He demanded the network provide him with a larger margin of error graphic to display on screen during his segments, essentially blaming the weather itself for its poor performance. 42. In a luxury hotel, a housekeeper lodged a formal grievance against guests who actually slept in their beds, claiming it was a blatant disregard for her work. She explained that she spends up to 20 minutes per bed achieving geometric perfection on the 600 thread count sheets. Their tendency to disrupt the baseline state of cleanliness was unacceptable. Her solution was a gold embossed sign on each pillow, kindly asking guests to sleep on top of the covers to preserve the room's integrity. 43. You'd think a baker would be used to it, but one filed a complaint about the 4 a.m. start time, calling it a violation of his natural circadian rhythm. He argued that waking up so early was biologically hostile, and that his pre-dawn grogginess was negatively affecting the quality of the bread. His solution was for the business to rebrand as a nocturnal bakery, selling fresh bread exclusively from 8 p.m. to 4 a.m. to better serve the city's night owls. 44. The emotional state of her clients was the target of a complaint from a high-end wedding planner. She claimed that excessive bride and groom emotionality, especially tears, was leading to last-minute irrational changes and was highly inefficient. She proposed adding a mandatory, non-negotiable, emotional regulation and decisiveness seminar as the very first step in her wedding planning package for all future couples. 45. In a stunningly ironic move, a bouncer at a popular downtown nightclub filed a formal noise complaint against his own place of employment. He stated in his report that the persistently high decibel levels of the dance music were a direct violation of city ordinances, a personal annoyance, and were creating an unsafe auditory environment for him while he was trying to work the door. 46. A police sketch artist grew deeply frustrated with the quality of information he was getting for his drawings. He filed a complaint against the vague and unhelpful verbal descriptions provided by crime victims and witnesses. To streamline the process, he designed and submitted a standardized, multiple-choice facial feature catalog for witnesses to fill out, complete with drop-down menus for noses, eyes, and chin types. 47. In what might be the ultimate workplace complaint, a bomb disposal expert reported that the constant ticking sound from the devices he was working on was incredibly annoying. He claimed the repetitive noise was highly disruptive to his concentration during the delicate disarming process. His formal request was for the engineering department to develop a tool that could remotely mute the timer while he worked on the wiring. 48. The act of spitting out wine during a tasting became a point of contention for a master sommelier. He filed a grievance with his restaurant group, arguing that the practice was deeply disrespectful to the vintner's craft and the soul of the grape. He demanded a policy change that would not only allow, but require him to swallow at least one full sip of every wine he was tasked with formally evaluating for the menu, calling it a matter of professional integrity. 49. A children's birthday party clown filed a hostile work environment complaint because the kids were so often scared of him. He claimed their widespread and frankly irrational coulrophobia created a negative and unproductive atmosphere that stifled his comedic creativity. He requested the company allow him to perform his act out of costume, wearing a simple, less intimidating business casual outfit instead of the traditional clown suit and makeup. 50. The immense pressure of the job led a master diamond cutter to complain about the value of the materials he worked with. He claimed the high stakes of cutting a flawless, multi-million-dollar diamond were causing him extreme anxiety and sleepless nights. He asked his employer to reassign him to the gemstone training division, where he could exclusively work on low-stakes, non-precious materials like cubic zirconia until his nerves finally settled. 51. Instead of blaming users, an IT help desk tech filed a grievance against the company's instant password reset system. He argued its convenience enabled and actively encouraged user negligence, robbing people of a critical learning opportunity. His solution was a mandatory 24-hour waiting period for any reset request, in order to teach users a valuable lesson in personal responsibility and memory retention. 52. In the world of high fashion, a personal shopper grew frustrated with a client who was too decisive. She complained that the client always knew exactly what she wanted, tried on only 2 or 3 items, and made a purchase within minutes. She argued that this hyper-competence made her role as a stylist feel completely redundant and robbed her of her artistic purpose. She requested the company add a client indecisiveness surcharge to her fees. 53. Nature itself wasn't safe from complaints, as a forester in a national park filed a report against the trees. He claimed their natural random placement was inefficient, chaotic, and aesthetically displeasing. He argued that the messy undergrowth and lack of clear pathways made his job of surveying the forest unnecessarily difficult. His long-term proposal was a plan to gradually replant the entire forest into a neat, grid-like pattern. 54. An acclaimed oil painter filed a bizarre grievance with his art gallery, complaining that the very paint he used took too long to dry. He claimed this slow drying time, a fundamental property of the medium, was a major impediment to his creative flow, forcing him to wait for days between layers. He demanded the gallery fund research and development into a new type of instant drying oil paint so he could finish his masterpieces in a single afternoon. 55. An airline pilot filed a complaint that the constant low-frequency hum of the plane's engines was acoustically monotonous and was dulling his pilot's intuition. He didn't ask for better headphones. Instead, he requested a specialized flight path designation that would exclusively assign him to transatlantic routes, arguing the ambient sound of the ocean below was far more soothing and conducive to a focused work environment than flying over repetitive land. These stories prove that no matter how bad your day is, someone, somewhere, has found a much crazier reason to be upset. But now, the spotlight is on you. Drop a comment below and tell us what you do for a living. And what is the one single thing you either absolutely love or secretly despise about your job? Share your own experience with us. If you enjoyed this dive into workplace madness, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more. We read all the comments.